Today, we are back talking about the CS market, and things are actually holding up pretty well for the moment. So, I want to talk about some high tier skins, as I always do, how they're holding up, and why I think they're still a good buy for the long term, despite the fact that they bounced up quite a bit off the recent dip, and a lot of them are near all time highs already. So, I want to start by talking about the M4A4 Howl. This is one that I've talked about a lot. Skin I'm really focused on, skin I'm trying to buy. And one cool thing about high tier skins, and let me actually start by showing you guys the price chart in case you guys haven't seen it already. I should probably preface it with this. I have covered this a lot, so I'll go over it really briefly, but they consolidate for a long time, blow up, and then get back to a fair market value level that is actually corresponding with the amount of demand. And that level is usually higher than the price they previously consolidated at. Actually, it's pretty much always higher than the price they previously consolidated at. Like here, goes up. Now it's like at this level, which is much higher than the 4,800 it was at before. Back here was at 2 grand, and then blew up and consolidated around like 3 to 4 grand, which is great. Now blew up again. Really had a blow off top here, got the 8 grand, and now it hasn't really started consolidating yet, but had a good bounce back. This thing could bounce around quite a bit in price. This is a Dragon Lore. I should probably be looking at the Howl, but the charts are pretty much the exact same. So we'll go with the field tested Howl. There is 37 of these only listed on buff currently, and that's a big selling point that I want to cover for these high tier skins. There is about, let me check, I just pulled it up, only 2,500, 2,600 of these in existence. A bunch of them are back banned, so there's probably less than 2,500 of them out there, but only 37 of these are listed on buff. And on other markets as well, there's not that many out there. There's like maybe 100 listed on all markets currently. And these are just field tested Howls, of course. So maybe 100. So like 4% of them are actively listed on markets, which is crazy. That being said, there doesn't have to be that many of these things sold for them to jump up pretty significantly in price. And that's why we see them jump up during hype spikes like this. If you want to buy skins or cash out your skins instantly at a great price, check out skin.land, where you could also get a free $10 bonus on your first sale. Skin.land is a site I use to insta-sell skins myself. They offer incredible prices and the process is very easy. Just make sure to click that link at the top of the description for your $10 bonus or enter code CHF on the site. Then go to your profile and enter your trade URL and you're all ready to sell and buy. Then select the skins you want to cash out instantly. Just click the skins you want to sell, select your payment method, either crypto or various bank transfer methods if you're in Europe. Then just confirm the trade the bot sends you on Steam instantly, and you're done. The entire process only takes around 5 minutes max, and receiving the money typically doesn't take more than 20 minutes for crypto. For bank transfers, it might take a few business days though. You can also buy skins for 30% cheaper than the Steam market value on Skinland as well. They have a ton of deposit methods, so whether you're looking to buy or sell, check them out with that link at the top of the description and get your $10 bonus today. So let's see right now. So at like 4831 or like below 4900, we've got 7 of them listed. And if 7 of these sold at that price, then they're going to be kicked up to 4930, and then the buy orders just spread out more. They're already above 5 grand. That's how easy it is to move high tier prices. And the reason I want to cover this, and you could be like, oh, 7 of them aren't going to sell it in a day, and that's very possible. But it does happen in when we go through periods of massive hype. There is a decent amount of sales for these things. There's like 2 a day here, then they're spread out a bit more. But during the hype, there could be like multiple of these sold during a day, which once again could easily move the price around quite a bit, especially if people are selling them for super cheap prices. They get bought up almost instantly. I covered one of these on Skinport being sold for about $200 under market value, and my stupid bank wouldn't let me buy it, but I told you guys about it, and it's no longer there anymore. So I hope one of you guys got that for a really good price. But it's a big reason why I'm a big fan of these skins. As I always cover with these skins as well, they don't get sold very often. If we just go around and we check like the last time they were updated, I don't think this is 100% accurate, and I'll give another reason for that in a bit and actually cover the inventories that these are in. But they don't move around that much. These are actually, a couple of them moved around in the past month, which is pretty uncommon. But usually it's like months upon months before you see these things moving around, if not years. Vast majority of these are years. And if we could actually just go and check the inventory of one of these random ones, usually they're in super expensive inventories as well. This guy's inventory is 30 grand. He's not worried about the short-term price of this thing bouncing up and down usually. And people that own high-tier skins typically are not. They have pretty volatile price action. They'll go through massive blowups, but people that spend thousands of dollars on skins are not typically worried about stuff like that. They're just long-term holders, and you aren't going to see a massive selling pressure come in when we go through hype spikes like this. And that's a big reason why they maintain price so well, and they're almost always going up in price, if not consolidating. So for me, I just want to say that's why I'm a big fan of high tier skins. That's why I'm trying to buy a Howl. That's why I've held on to my Dragon Lord despite it going from it got to like 8 grand, like 8,300 at peak. Once again, I bought this thing at 3,600. So I bought it during this consolidation period here, which was great. Didn't sell here. I honestly don't even remember this happening. And then suddenly it's like 7 grand, which is why I'm such a big fan of these skins. And I think high tier skins are really, really solid to hold for the long term. There's never a lot of supply listed on the market. And when hype spikes come around, just 6 of these things sell. The price is up hundreds of dollars. It's great. If you've got the budget for it, it's great to hold these things. And there's quite a few skins like this. Obviously, the Howl, the Dragon Lore are a couple. The Gungnir is another. The Wild Lotus is another. Personally, I don't want to spend like 20 grand for a Wild Lotus, because can that thing get to 40 grand? I mean, I guess so. We've seen less crazy things in the market, but I think with something like a Dragon Lore, or especially a Howl, there's much more price to run. With the Wild Lotus, it's like you could look at this thing at 12 grand and be like, oh my god, that's such a ridiculous price. But then it blows up again, and it blows up to 21 grand. So for me, I'm not saying like buy a Wild Lotus at these prices, but I'm saying this could very easily happen with the Dragon Lore or Howl. It's not completely unheard of in the market. It's not like we've never seen it happen before, or we've never seen skins get to these ridiculously high prices. So during periods of consolidation, it's great. During these periods where, I mean, the player count is once again so much higher, so there's just going to be so much more demand. The game has missions now. You've got the Armory Pass to grind. There's actual reasons to play the game and for people to not sell their skins. It's all a big catalyst for just holding on to skins for the long term. It's great. I'm a big fan of it, big fan of high tiers, and I think they're super, super good. And of course, they are a bit different than the other skins as well. The Karambit Doppler, for example, skin I've covered a ton recently. And sure, it doesn't exactly have the same trend. Up until CS2, where we saw things have a massive hype spike, these things were not moving around that much in price. Once again, from 2023, it got to like $1,300 and then did nothing for a very long time. And obviously, that was a very, very, very good spot to buy. And thankfully, I did pick mine up somewhere around this range. But they sit around for such a long time, and then they eventually blow up. So it's a bit more of a sketchy trend to buy into, because you've got no idea where this is going to start consolidating it again. Once again, I covered it, and I was like, could probably come back down to pre-hype levels. But 1,500 at this point in time just seems so unrealistic for this thing because of how much hype there is in the market. Is it going to come back down a little bit? Probably. But we got to wait for that consolidation to happen again. And especially with these skins where there's a lot more supply, they're kind of play skins, so they move around a lot more. I think they could have much more drastic moves in prices. Well, with high tiers, sure, they can move around hundreds of dollars easily by just a few sales. But at the same token, they consistently go up in price for such a long term, and they're being held for such a much longer period of time compared to your typical Doppler skins. But the crazy thing is, there actually is not that many Karambit Dopplers listed out there either, which is just insane to me. But it's still cool. It's obviously, I think this market is just really good for the long term. A bunch of people dogged on me for that. They're like, CS skins, why would you invest in those? It's like NFTs, dude. This is such a good market to invest into. It's like, I made this comparison in one of my other videos. It's like Pokemon cards, except they can't get damaged. You can trade them. You can sell them instantly for cash. You can... they're actually usable in the game, and they look cool. And everybody's like, oh, you're spending $2,000 to buy a M9 Doppler. You're not necessarily spending anything. You're giving the money to the game to potentially get it back at a later point in time. Sure, of course, you could obviously have losses, but it's not like you're just blowing $2,000 into the void like with Valorant skins, for example, that you can't trade or do anything with. CS skins can get insanely high in price for that reason. And obviously, I mean, I think the market is just going to continue in this direction for a very long period of time. The only way you could say it's not going to is if the game starts dying, which, I mean, God knows how that never happened in CSGO because there were so many problems with that game. But now we've got CS2. The devs seem to be updating the game way more. There's way more hype around the cases, or way more hype around the skins. You've got insta-sell sites. You have so many catalysts for these being just incredible. And of course, you've got the player count at such all-time highs. It's just absolutely insane. And even if it comes down like 5-10%, we're still averaging over 1 million players at any given point, with peaks of like 1.8 million players. So it's just crazy. That's another reason why I'm a big fan of the high tier skins, especially, and that's why what I wanted to talk about in this video. So look for some good charts to buy. High tier skins, I think, are super, super good. But with the Howl, for example, it bounced back off the lows. Let me actually find the Howl. It bounced back off the lows pretty well, and it got to 4,200. Now it seems to be chilling at this spot for a little bit, which is great. Obviously, 4 days isn't really enough to say we have a proper trend going, but it's nice to see. It's not like you're buying into this thing when it's gone to like 6 grand like it did for this 1 day period. So I think this is a fine spot to buy something like that and hold, especially if you could get a good price right now, because I mean, across markets, once again, like I said, there was one of these listed on Skinport for $200 cheaper than Buff, for example, which is great. So try to find some good prices to buy at. There's some good prices on Float as well. There's people listing these occasionally, and you could occasionally find a really good price from and just hold long term. That's what I'm a big fan of. That's what's made me tens of thousands of dollars in this game, and I think it's going to continue that way. So thank you guys so much for watching. Check out the sponsor, link at the top of the description. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.